Good evening and a very warm welcome to Times Now LIC Housing Finance Limited studio. I'm Pratibha Chandran. Let's begin with the big story of the day, a key diplomatic meeting that is underway in Switzerland where the US Vice President JD Vance is leading the American delegation in talks with Iran, alongside the mediators Pakistan and Qatar. Now, speaking after the meeting, Vance said that President Trump had asked negotiators to open a new page and claimed significant progress had been made in the recent hours. On Lebanon, JD Vance said that all stakeholders, including Qatar, Pakistan and Israel, were working towards regional peace, adding that while challenges remain, he feels positive about the direction of the talks and the efforts that are continuing. So that's the update we're getting from Switzerland, where the diplomatic meeting is currently underway. US being represented by the Vice President JD Vance. He is leading the negotiations. And currently, we're told that the US says that this is opening a new page, saying that there has been some significant progress that has been made in the recent hours. Remember, there were a lot of concerns, especially considering that Iran had said that Strait of Hormuz will remain closed. This despite the United States saying that the Strait of Hormuz remains open. Mayank will be joining us shortly to get us more details of what's happening currently. But this is very, very critical. This is after the memorandum of understanding has been signed between the United States as well as Iran. This is going to be a big test for these talks. Mayank is joining us live. Mayank, now we have more details of what the memorandum of understanding is between the two nations, but there is a lot that is riding on this. So these talks, this diplomatic meeting in Switzerland is extremely important. Give us the update of what has happened in the talk so far.
Pratibha, since good moves actually, which the way the definition of all 14 points which had come out under the part of the memorandum of understanding, we were expecting that it will become some kind of a pedestal for larger agreements. But then for the immediate, yes, definitely. The good point is actually talks are on. And again, the two leaders from both sides are the same who had met on 11th of April. And it is positive. The 2 points which have become a little tricky to actually handle with are Lebanon, because operations in Lebanon from the Israel Defense Forces have continued. Keeping that in mind, as part of one of the conditions under the MoU, Iran has said that they are closing the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Strait of Hormuz, generally, that area had been under the regulation and control of IRGC right from the beginning. And once that had started, that on 13th of April, US Navy had positioned its warships to start the naval blockade. But now the same we are hearing, because clouds of doubts, ambiguity have again hovered around, and these merchant vessels, they are high cost, very capital intensive cargoes they carry. So keeping that in mind, this ambiguity and all, what we are hearing is actually movement has stopped. Although since whatever had happened, and it had come out that both sides are agreeing to meet on Friday, which was postponed for Sunday now. There was some kind of movement, and merchant vessels, at least three, we are hearing that three merchant vessels specifically towards India, they had moved out. But then we are hearing that Iran had again clamped down the movement that side, which has been denied by the US. But then positivity is that both sides are under discussion, and we have to see that how they'll tide over this tricky issue of Lebanon, because Lebanon remains something on which Iran has never made any claims which are doubtful, which means that they have always said that unless all kind of military operations on Lebanon stops, they won't agree. And they were even ready right from the beginning, which is April 8th was the time when ceasefire had started. Right from the beginning, Iran had made it clear that they will be ready even to forego or let go the ceasefire agreement, Pratibha.
Okay, all right. Stay with us. We have more breaking updates coming in, because the US Vice President JD Vance has also credited President Donald Trump for playing a leading role in efforts to end the conflict. He stressed that peace requires compromise and hard work, adding that Trump remains committed not only to peace with Iran, but also to broader regional stability across West Asia. So talks are ongoing, and the US Vice President has credited the US President Donald Trump for the peace talks, going on to say that he is the one who led these negotiations and he wants peace in the region. Mayank, interesting statement coming in from the US Vice President at a time when there are so many doubts, so many questions on the entire memorandum of understanding, and also at a time when the popularity of Trump has plummeted in the United States, when questions are being raised back home. US Vice President says that Donald Trump wants peace in the region and he has worked towards it.
That's an important point, actually. In a way, what we need to understand, and that's a simple thing, actually, is that President is the executive head of the US, and in that case, all kind of operations, whichever will be launched, they'll have to have an order or a go-ahead green signal from the President. And in this case, also, the talks can only take place, and ultimately they'll fall into the purview of the President to ratify it and to sign it. So whatever J.D. Vance is saying, technically, that's absolutely right. Having said that, the peace in West Asia was whatever happened, actually, that breach came on 28th of Feb as the operations started. And the operations launched by, which were named as Roaring Lion by Israel and Epic Fury by the US, they had a goal, or they had a 4-point aim, 3-point primarily, actually, to achieve regime change, to blunt the capabilities of Iran, to not able, so that it is not able to acquire nuclear weapon capability, and also to cap its missile and drone technology to the extent that they are not able to help the proxies. These are the three points. So it is because of that the 39 days war continued in that area, and pounding took place on Iran. But then once peace is expected to descend that side and ceasefire agreements takes place, we'll definitely see some kind of peace in the West Asia, the larger region.
Just a moment. We have another update now coming in. This is from the social media post of Donald Trump. The US Vice President is currently in negotiations in Switzerland. Meanwhile, the US President Donald Trump has just put out a post on Truth Social, which says, and I quote, Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. This is a statement that is coming from the US President Donald Trump, threatening Iran, going on to say they must stop Lebanon from causing trouble. If not, that the United States will strike. And this is, Mayank, even as we were just discussing, J.D. Vance going on to say that Donald Trump is committed to peace in the region. And these talks are currently ongoing in Switzerland, but you have simultaneously, around the same time, the US president going on to warn Iran or threaten Iran. How is this going to play out?
Definitely, Pratibha, because, see, there had been no let-up in military operations which had been conducted by the Israel Defense Forces. And if you go by the 14 points under the MoU, you will find that Lebanon has also been part of the statements or the points under which the operations had to cease. But then whatever Israel is doing, they had been saying that there were rockets fired from Lebanese side. So it is tit for tat. But then it's a cycle which has started. And we'll have to see how the leadership, which could be Galeva or which could be J.D. Vance, how they'll tide over all this this kind of a tricky affair. Because willy-nilly, both sides have to agree on these points to let peace take over in that region. And if it doesn't happen, then things will be back to the square one. So we are expecting something to take place, some agreements to take place. But then again, it will all depend on how the agreements, how the issue of Lebanese operation as far as Israel is concerned. Because, see, there had been lots of ifs and buts. The US president had also questioned the operations which had been conducted by IDF earlier. Now, in this case, now he's saying that, Hezbollah should be stopping the operations from their side. Otherwise, the result will be operations again initiated upon Iran. So we have to see
Mayank,
it becomes
just look
tricky.
at how this has played out, because on one hand you have, and this is the latest post that has come in from the US President Donald Trump, going on to say that we will hit Iran very hard. So this is a direct threat that he has issued to Iran. At the same time, even as he arrived for this meeting, JD Vance as well blamed Iran and called it a driver of regional instability. So how will peace talks go on when Iran on one hand has continued to say that there is very less faith that they have in the United States, that there is a trust deficit? Iran has mentioned it on multiple occasions. And even as the US has arrived for these talks, JD Vance puts the blame entirely on Iran. Donald Trump continues to threaten Iran.
I agree with you on this point. This lack of confidence, lack of trust is definitely part of the whole. I mean, the way the things are moving ahead. But in that case, in this case only, we find diplomacy taking charge and I mean somehow finding a middle way. That's the important point which has to happen here. Without that, there won't be any peace prevailing into that area. Having said that, both sides will have to understand, which is like whether Hezbollah is going to stop its operations from that side, which is firing rockets and drones, or Iran will give some kind of a concession on this point, because IDF is saying that they are doing a tit-for-tat operation. So we have to see how this tricky point will be handled. Otherwise, the entire movement or this ceasefire talks which are taking place in Switzerland might land up reaching nowhere.
Okay.
Pratibha.
Okay, all right. Stay with us. We have Wael Awad joining us on the broadcast, Middle East affairs expert. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Awad, how do you look at what's happening? Even as the peace talks are going on, JD Vance has put the blame entirely on Iran. And at the same time, we have a latest reaction coming in from the US President Donald Trump, who has continued to threaten Iran.
Well, you see, if you have already signed a framework agreement for which you have agreed to all the 14 points, and the first point speaks of cessation of all activities, including Lebanon. And if the United States cannot lean on Israel to stop the attack in south of Lebanon, and the total area of Lebanon being attacked, 1/3 of Lebanon is under occupation. So Iran, how would it guarantee that after 60 days they will not come back to fight? So I believe it's very clear violation from the United States, from the Iranian point of view, because they already signed. So if you have signed and you are committed, including Lebanon, why are you keeping Lebanon away? That's why Donald Trump himself, he said he is disappointed in Israel. He said they can't do anything without destroying buildings in Lebanon. So that's not the issue here. The issue here, you are killing people. You are more than 1.5 million Lebanese civilians have been internally displaced. You have destroyed more than 100 village Israeli forces. What else you want to do? I think this is a very clear message, and there has to be. United States only can put pressure on Netanyahu and his vice president, Prime Minister Gantz. That will be able to stop this war.
So are you saying that peace talks, if any, between US and Iran will always have the shadow of breaking at any point? And unless Lebanon and Israel also come to the table, we don't know what to make of this peace deal?
First of all, the war, the United States went to this war with Israel under the guarantee from Netanyahu that the government of Iran will collapse after decapitation of the top leadership, and then there will be a new pro-American leadership there in the Iran, where they will end the Islamic Revolution Republic. So therefore, if they have cheated the United States president, and now he's saying, I wanted to negotiate a deal in favor of the United States, then you cannot keep the elephant in the room, Netanyahu, and let him dictate the American foreign policy.
Okay, all right. Mr. Awad, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Israel dictating the foreign policy of the United States. That's the statement coming in. We have more breaking updates coming in. In a sharply worded interview, latest reports suggest that the US President Donald Trump warned against any attempt to shut the Strait of Hormuz, saying such a move would have severe consequences. Trump suggested the United States could assume a larger security role in the strategic waterway, even hinting at taking control of the strait if necessary. He also warned that if a broader deal is not reached, the US could impose tolls on transit through the crucial global oil route, escalating pressure amid the ongoing regional tensions. So this is in an interview that Donald Trump has said that any attempt to shut the Strait of Hormuz would have severe consequences. Mayank continues to stay live with us. Mayank, does this bring us back to square one, where Trump has yet again spoken about Strait of Hormuz and has hinted at taking complete control of Strait of Hormuz if necessary?
Pratibha, right from the beginning, one thing was very interesting. The way Strait of Hormuz was turned into a strategic tool by Iran. And this is the kind of a pressure, which was indirect actually. I would use that term indirect because all the movement. And when you say that Strait of Hormuz is strategically so very important, not only for fuel, energy, agricultural products, chemicals, it's so very important for whole globe actually, directly and indirectly. And specifically coming to India, I mean, there's a major chunk of things coming, remittances, which is 40%, 60% of your gas, 20% of your oil, 70% of your urea, that comes from that side. So you can understand the kind of a cost escalation which has taken place only because of Strait of Hormuz, because it had been smartly used by Iran. Now, in that case, there has to be some kind of agreement from both sides. Else, IRGC has shown it time and again that technically they hold control and they regulate Strait of Hormuz, which is the end part of the narrow strip of water. And it is in reaction to that the naval blockade was started on 13th of April by the US forces on the mouth, which is Gulf of Oman. So we have to see, and it is still using. See, the kind of statements which are coming out will have to factor in, because it is a very high stake talk, and both sides have to maintain position and also have to send a message to domestic audiences also. So unless there is an agreement, these kind of talks, statements will keep coming out. I mean, there had been statements like, turning the Iran and obliterating the civilization of Iran, and putting it to the Stone Age, actually, something like that has already been made. And Iran has also been.
And, Mayank, currently the discussions are still ongoing. We don't know what's going to happen next, and we continue coming back to you for those updates. Let's get our viewers more updates coming in of the US Vice President J.D. Vance, who has struck an optimistic note on the ongoing diplomatic efforts, saying that the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and the ending of Iran's nuclear program have already been achieved. So this is what J.D. Vance has said, that reopening the Strait of Hormuz and ending of Iran's nuclear program has already been achieved. He now says that the focus is on how much more can be accomplished together, adding that the larger goal is to permanently transform relations in the Middle East and avoid a return to old patterns of conflict and instability. This is what J.D. Vance has gone on to say. Meanwhile, more updates coming in. International media reports that the Iranian negotiating team refused to take a joint photograph with the US delegation. The Iranian delegation refused to even enter the negotiation hall before members of the media had left. So the Iranian negotiating team entered the meeting hall only after journalists had been cleared from the room. So the Irani delegation had been very clear, they will not be photographed with the United States. So still awaiting an official word to come in from Geneva. We'll keep you posted on that. For now, a very quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.